Welcome back. All right, let's just jump right into it. Today is day 10 of our series, and we're tackling what is literally one of the absolute most talked about ways to make money online right now. Yup, selling AI-generated art. There is massive hype out there. But, as we dug into the source material for this explainer, a much more complex reality started to emerge. There are serious legal rules, really strict platform guidelines, and honestly, realistic expectation hurdles that most people just completely skip over. But we're definitely not going to skip them. We're going to break down the actual realities of navigating this space so you can do it profitably and, more importantly, legally. So here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at the AI art reality. Then, the 2026 copyright rules. Third, where to actually sell this stuff. Fourth, what actually sells. And finally, the commercial rights trap. Okay, section 1. The AI art reality and generating income from prompts. Right off the bat, we have to ask the core question, right? Can you actually sell AI art? And looking at the data, the answer is a resounding yes. The reality is that pretty much anyone with a phone or a laptop right now can generate professional quality images in seconds. The barrier to entry, it's practically vanished. It's wild. But, generating the art is really just step one in the process. The whole workflow really boils down to a super simple 3-part process. Step 1, you generate the artwork. The heavy hitters right now are Midjourney, DALL-E 3, which you can just use right inside ChatGPT, or the completely free open source option Stable Diffusion. Step 2, you choose your format. You can sell these as digital downloads, physical prints through print on demand, or even as licensed stock images. And step 3, you actually list and sell. Now, each of these paths has totally different income potentials and requirements, and we're going to map all of that out for you. Let's move into section 2, the 2026 copyright rules. Consider this your legal reality check. So, the most fascinating detail we found in the source material is the exact legal definition we're all dealing with. Listen up, because this is the most important legal update you need to know for 2026. Back in March, the U.S. Supreme Court handed down a major ruling confirming that purely AI-generated art cannot be copyrighted under current U.S. law. And how exactly do they define purely AI-generated? Basically, it means you typed a prompt and the AI spat out an image with absolutely no significant human editing. Because there's no copyright protection on those raw outputs, if you generate an image and sell it as is, someone else could legally reproduce your exact image. Crazy, right? But hey, take a breath, don't panic. Despite that Supreme Court ruling, selling AI art is still completely legal. Just because someone else could technically copy a raw, unedited AI image doesn't mean you're breaking the law by selling it to a willing buyer. The transaction itself? Perfectly fine. But you're probably wondering, how do you actually protect your work? Well, to get stronger legal protection, you have to add what the courts call meaningful human creative input. You kind of got to get your hands dirty, digitally speaking anyway. You take that AI-generated image, bring it into editing software, tweak the colors, composite it with other elements, or maybe curate a highly specific collection. You've got to add that human touch to shift it from a purely machine-generated file to a protectable piece of human-guided art. Okay, section 3, where to sell AI art and how to navigate the marketplaces. Not all platforms treat AI art the same way, and honestly, the differences are pretty stark. Let's break it down. Etsy is currently a powerhouse for digital downloads and printable wall art. Their policy, you just have to disclose that your art is AI-generated. And honestly, that's a good thing. Transparency builds trust with your buyers. Then you've got Redbubble and Society6. They explicitly allow AI art on physical products like mugs and posters, and there's literally zero upfront cost to you. Nice and easy. Adobe Stock accepts it too, provided you label it clearly as AI. But then there's Shutterstock. They do not accept AI art, period. Don't even try sneaking it in, just skip it entirely and save yourself a huge headache. Now, speaking of platforms like Adobe Stock, you might be dreaming of massive payouts, but let's ground this in reality. 33 cents to $3. That is the realistic payout you can expect per license when selling AI art on Adobe Stock. It's a volume game. It's like collecting loose change. You aren't going to make $1,000 from one single download, but it adds up over thousands of downloads. Understanding these microtransactions is super important for projecting your actual income. Moving right along to section 4, what actually sells and why strategy matters way more than preference. So what is the market actually buying? Well, these aren't just random guesses. The source material outlines specific high-demand categories that are actively moving right now in 2026. Minimalist wall art in neutral tones is absolutely huge. People just want clean aesthetics for their homes. Themed collections for nurseries and kids' rooms? Incredibly profitable. Niche interest artwork, think highly specific communities like astronomy lovers or passionate gardeners. These do incredibly well because the buyers are just so dedicated. And of course, seasonal content is always, always a reliable driver of sales. Notice the stark contrast between these two approaches. The first one is the absolute most common mistake beginners make, generating art they personally like, uploading it, and then crickets, nothing. The second approach is the real secret to actual profitability, researching market demand first, and then generating the specific art needed to fill those exact gaps in the market. Seriously, don't guess what people want. Let this search data tell you, and then use your AI tools to create exactly that. It's a total game changer. Which brings us to our final and perhaps most urgent section today. Section 5, the commercial rights trap. Seriously, read the terms of service. There's one detail from the source material that immediately stands out as a massive, massive trap for beginners. Quote, free trial users on most platforms do not have commercial rights, end quote. Guys, you cannot legally sell images that you made on a free trial plan of a proprietary AI generator. You just can't. The platforms retain the rights to those specific generations unless you are actually a paying customer. So, what's actually required to stay above board here? For the top tools, it comes down to specific tiers. If you're using Midjourney, you must have a paid plan, which starts at just $10 a month to secure those commercial use rights. If you prefer DALL-E 3 through ChatGPT, you're required to have a ChatGPT Plus subscription to sell the outputs. The only major exception here is Stable Diffusion. Because it's completely open source, it's totally free to use for commercial purposes. You definitely have to factor these tool costs into your business plan before you list a single image for sale. All right, let's bring it all together. When we distill all of this down, 4 unskippable realities emerge for 2026. First, real income potential definitely exists here. It is for sure a viable model. Second, you absolutely must secure the right tool plan to get those commercial rights. No skipping that. Third, platform transparency is non-negotiable. If you are on Etsy or Adobe stock, declare that it's AI. And finally, niche research always beats random generation. Find what the market wants, add your human touch to secure your legal footing, and fill that demand. Selling AI art is such a fascinating ecosystem, but it forces us to ask a really interesting question. As the barrier to creating art drops to near zero, does the true value shift from the artwork itself to the human strategy behind it? Think about that for a second. Ultimately, selling AI art is still very much a per-sale hustle. So, are you ready to trade per-sale income for reliable per-hour pay? If so, you're in the right place, because tomorrow, for day 11, we are pivoting back to a highly lucrative method that pays you by the hour. If you haven't seen days 1 through 9 yet, where we covered everything from textbooks to TikTok shop, definitely go check those out right now. And make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss day 11 tomorrow. See you then.